Alright, and here's video number 2. It's not really a review, but it's another thing. It's who is the Honda Grom for? Who is it for? Who would want this slow little little kid's bike, little boy's bike, you know, or whatever people want to call it? Who would want it? Well, I don't think there's a better first motorcycle, except for maybe like a Ninja 650 or a Suzuki SV 650. 650 class is a really good starter class. But for one, you can fall off balance off the 650 class. They're a little bit heavier, they're higher. You know, the weight is higher up, so once it starts to go down, it goes down. But more than a starter class, it's really an intermediate class. And here's why. It's not because you can't learn how to handle it, because it's not. It's really, I grew up learning to ride. I had a Gixxer 750. That was my father's. It wasn't really mine, but I was free to ride it whenever I wanted to. That's what I really kind of learned to ride on. You know, that's what I learned how to like slip the clutch and get rolling with. But the first motorcycle that was mine was a Bandit 1200 that my father gave me. And I actually still have that bike. It's right here. I'm right in the middle of rebuilding the carbs and stuff on it and getting it. It's sick. We're going to make it healthy again. But this is what I learned to ride on. And I feel like there's two extremes. And you could either learn to ride on a very small bike, which power is like the thing we're most drawn to with motorcycles, right? Is that not why we like bikes? You know, they're faster than cars, and even a motorcycle that's just as fast as a car, it can just zip through traffic so much quicker at the same speed, where the car would have to slow down and wouldn't have anywhere to go. But one reason why this was actually a really good starter motorcycle, I feared it. You know, like, I wasn't afraid to ride it, but I knew, like, hey, if I just twist on that gas a little bit too much, that big motherfucker in there that probably weighs 140 pounds is gonna take me a lot faster than I really want to go. So that's why this is also a great motorcycle. So what you start on really doesn't matter. Okay, it really doesn't. Like, it's just natural selection. If you're an idiot, you know, and you do stupid shit on a motorcycle, this will kill you. That will kill you. The bicycle there will kill you if you're just that much of an idiot, or that one there, or that one. And this will kill you. This car here, that'll kill you. But it's not really about that. It's about learning the basic concept of riding a motorcycle and what's good for you. So here's me. This is not me defending small bikes. This is not me defending small bikes, because that's not what I'm doing at all. Started on that, really, like, that's when I first started, like, legally riding on the street, was with that bike there, Bandit 1200, which has more than twice the amount of torque that my current bike, my CBR 600 RR has. And so I'm definitely not like saying like, oh, you need a small bike, but here's what I'm saying: you need a small bike. If you want to start on like a Hayabusa, go ahead. You know, I really don't have any problem with that, because if you know it'll do 200, you're not like, you don't have this chip on your shoulder about like, oh, well, this'll, you know what I mean? Like, if you start on like a 650, it's like, well, it has a top speed of 130 or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, it's got a top speed of 130. I got to go out and race everyone. Like, sometimes with enough maturity, you'll be like, this jackass, and I'm not, and I've got a lot of buddies that are Mustang owners, but this jackass in a Mustang GT wants to race me. But I have that, so he can't outrun me. He can't, you know what I mean? He can't out-accelerate me, out-turn me, nothing. There's no point. Man, go ahead, do your thing. You know, you got to let people enjoy their stuff. At the end of the day, the motorcycles, the speed is what attracts us to them, but it's not why we love them. At least nobody I know who still has one. The people who loved them because of speed, they've ended up wrecking them, and if they live, they're like, yeah, no more. I used to own me a Gixxer back in the day, and I wrecked the shit out of it, and I scared myself, and yeah, that's all right. This isn't for you. But this Grom has made me such a better rider than my 600 ever could. And, well, maybe it could, but it would be like within 10 years. You know, and maybe even if that, because I can lock up the rear wheel on this with the brakes. I can wheelie it. And more than likely, nothing's going to go wrong. I've had a couple of bad wheelies. Well, actually, just one. Just one where I actually scraped right here. But my buddy, before that little hole was there, my buddy, the Grom wasn't even a month and a half old, and he wheelied it too hard. He didn't even get hurt. He didn't even fall off on his ass or anything. But the Grom came out from under him, and he stopped it. And I was like, what the fuck? He's like, my bad, I'll pay for your tail light. I was like, dude, I'm not worried about it. This is actually my second tail light. Just got a crack in it now, because I have kind of semi-looped it again. I haven't full looped a Grom yet, but that's because I don't really want to. But the reason why this is the best bike, I'm gonna look at how many. All right, 5 minutes. The reason why this is the best bike is because whatever skills you do have, be it none or lots, the only people this bike wouldn't be good for is like somebody who's like a professional rider already, like gets paid to ride motorcycles and race them. This wouldn't have anything to offer him, but he'd still think it's a lot of fun. Anybody that's humble will be like, yep, it's a fun bike, because it really, really is. And nothing's cooler than this, man. You could show up on a $50,000 Ducati, a Ninja H2R, and like, yes, the motorcycle people will be like, man, that motherfucker's cool. But you can show up on this at a gas station, and people will be like 84-year-old ladies, 60-year-old ladies, like guys that have never liked motorcycles. They're like, what is that? It's like, oh, it's a Honda. Oh, a Honda what? Or every now and then you'll get the story about half the time. Yeah, I used to have a 125 back in the day. But it really is fast enough to 40 miles an hour. It's not really, you know, the top speed isn't really that fast past 40, but it gets to 40 pretty quick for what it is. And so it's a lot of fun in a neighborhood. It's a lot of fun at like parking lots. You know, we'll go to the parking lots with the car meets, the motorcycle meets, and me and my buddies on our Groms, we're having more fun than the guys are with the big bikes. You know, and I have 2 other big bikes. You know, so this isn't me saying this out of like jealousy or anything. It's just factual. It's like, man, if you can just put your ego aside, you will have way more fun on a Grom than a bigger bike, just ultimately. And another thing is, you know, you get out on your 600, your 750, your 1000, your 929 or whatever it is, and just a thing you consider that night is a speeding ticket. You know, it's like, well, if a cop tries to pull me over, I'm gonna run, or I'm gonna pull over, or whatever it is. That's just literally not even a thing to worry about on this. You know, the top speed with the stock sprockets is like 73-ish, you know, and then it hits off rev limiter. But it takes so long to get from like 50 miles an hour to 73 that it's really not a thing. You know, you can pretty much get on this, hold it full throttle everywhere. Another big fact I want to point out, this is the best bike for heavy traffic. Period. You're running late to work or stuff, man, this thing has saved me so many times when I'm running late to work. And the reason why is because it's so small, you can weave in between cars like it's nothing. Like, here's my car here. See how little it is compared to it. You can weave in between cars. It's controllable. It's easy. It's hard to fuck up, and even when you do fuck up, it's pretty forgiving. I fucked up a couple times. Everyone I know who's like push serious has fucked up a few times, and it's forgiving, man. I've never gone down because of like a serious fuck up on this Grom, and there have been a few. So it's for everybody, man. It's for the people who've had a motorcycle for 20 years. You're gonna get on one and love it. It's for the people who are just starting. You're gonna learn more on this than you would on a bigger bike. The biggest reason I bought it was actually so I could learn how to wheelie, because I'm not trying to get on my, you know, at the time, because I bought this half a year after I bought my 600. I'm not about to try to learn how to wheelie on my 600, and I'm not great at wheelies, but I can wheelie, you know, and I wasn't about to learn on this. I power wheelied a couple times, but that's about it. And that motherfucker there, gonna be 100% honest with you, you don't just get on that and like learn how to wheelie. It's just not something anybody does. And another thing you have to understand that a lot of people don't tell you, if you want to learn how to wheelie, you're gonna wreck. That's just, like, you can go and watch these like Dank Wheelie. He's a great one. He still wrecks like every week. He's like wrecked. That's what stunt cages are for. You're gonna wreck if you actually have, you know, any kind of experience doing it. And sometimes, man, you're just not feeling it, you know, and you're out there doing it just to practice or whatever, but you're not 100% in the zone, you wreck. And everything on this bike is cheap. And coming back to that, I got to replace this guy. I don't have to, but just for looks, it functions fine. My little shifter right there, replace it with one that folds in. But man, these pegs, I forget what they're called, but they're adjustable like Amazon pegs, and they are so awesome. I've gone down so many times, and I went down one time with the factory shit and broke right here in half. And these things, man, I don't know what it is, but they just hold up. They absorb the impact or something. I haven't broken a rear seat yet, and I've gone down 2 or 3 times in this. But really, that's what learning's all about. You're gonna go down. You're gonna go down. You're gonna go down. I don't know how to like make that clear enough to anyone. Like, show me anyone who's decent at riding a motorcycle, they've gone down at least once, but probably more like 10, 100 times. Valentino Rossi, as a professional, I've seen him go down a few times. And I started to feel bad when I went to the track for my first time, and I was really pushing the shit out of this thing. For what it is, stock, everything, I was pushing the shit out of it. And I was like, man, I kind of feel embarrassed. He's like, dude, whatever. He's like, Valentino Rossi, you know, how many times have you seen him wreck? I was like, and I didn't even know who he was until like 2010. I was like, oh, dude, I've seen him wreck at least like 8 times. So he's like, yeah, that's normal. So the Grom is in every person's bike. Gas is basically free for them. If you're not the best rider in the world, if you don't consider yourself to be the best rider in the world, the Grom has something to teach you. You know, it might take a little bit of research, a little bit of learning to get there, but it has something to teach you. And man, it's the coolest bike on the planet. It really, really is, because it's just it's the purest form of what motorcycling is all about. It's almost free. Even if you finance one, it's almost free. They're very cheap. Find me another brand new vehicle, you know, that you can get for this price, like about $3 grand. Find me cheaper insurance. I pay $7 grand, or I'm sorry, not $7 grand. I pay $7 a month for insurance on this. It's liability, but liability and comprehensive. So if it gets stolen, I'm good for it. But dude, you're not going to lay the thing down and need to file a claim on it, because everything on it's really cheap. And we're right here at 12 minutes, and I don't have I lost my subscription to something else until I find something I like better. So I got to go now. So if you got any questions, let me know. I'll make more videos. Bye.